What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn. Bringing you guys our Week 1 team builder for the PTL, or the Pokemon Tri-League. Originally, our opponent was the biggest of Dave's, who I don't think I've played him before, but I know him from LET. He was a coach in LET with us in Season 2, but he was really inactive. I tried to get a hold of him for like a month and no messages whatsoever. So I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but unfortunately he has been booted, and now instead we play Monotooi and the Tampa Bay Luxrays, which is kind of cool. I look up to Monotooi for sure. I've watched all of his GBA videos. I think he's been in the GBA for 3 or 4 seasons now. I love all of them. I haven't seen any of his PPL videos, but I know that he's been part of the PPL as well. Yeah, so this is kind of a big moment for me. It's kind of my big match. If I ended up playing A Drive in AABL, that would have been a little bit bigger, I think, just because, you know, he was uploading that. I'm not entirely sure if Mono's uploading this or not. I would think that he's probably not, but he could be, so I don't know. It's really besides the point. Let's run through Monotooi's team. It's the same as Dave's, but I didn't film anything for Dave and upload it for that, so here you go. He's got Landorus, Incarnate, Sheer Force, Clefable, Slowbro, Mega Venusaur, Heatran, Lycanroc Dusk as a Z user, Rotom, Alolan Persian, Hitmonchan, and Salamence as a Z user. I'm not expecting Rotom, Alolan Persian, or Hitmonchan, and I'll touch on those later. And I know that I say this in red every team builder, but I do fully intend to go over the reasons why I'm not bringing things in this league. I'm going full detail, everything. Yeah, so in terms of priority, he's got Lycanroc Dusk with a Celerock and Hitmonchan with Mach Punch. And he's actually got Alolan Persian with Fake Out and Rotom with Sucker Punch as well, but I don't think those are notable enough for me to count them. Although I think Alolan Persian might bring Fake Out if he brings it, but I don't think Rotom would bring Sucker Punch. Hazard setting in Landorus with Stealth Rock, Clefable with Stealth Rock, Heatran with Stealth Rock, and Lycanroc with Stealth Rock, so he's only got Rockers, which don't hurt my team that much. I actually only have 1 or 2 Rocks weaknesses on the team, and I'm actually bringing both of them this week, but I have a lot more resists. I have things like Registeel to resist, things like Mienshao to resist. Actually, I forgot, and Scrafty, but Armaldo also is weak to them. He's got removal options in Landorus with Defog, Rotom with Defog, Hitmonchan with Rapid Spin, and Salamence with Defog. I mean, Rapid Spin's like alright, not really against my team, right? Like my team only has Stealth Rocks too, so I don't think that he would bring a Spinner. I think Defogging is, we're both probably going to bring a Defogger if we're bringing any removal. I don't even know if he would bring any removal against me, to be honest. And then he's got 4 times weaknesses in Landorus Incarnate to Ice, Heatran to Ground, and Salamence to Ice, which makes my job a lot easier, if I'm being honest with you. I do have a plan, and the fact that Landorus and Salamence are both so close in speed and both 4 times weak to the same typing just really helps a lot. Yeah. We'll get to that, though. We'll get to that. So yeah, I'm not expecting Rotom. Yeah, Rotom just doesn't look great against my team. Like, he could bring like a Scarf variant, but I'm not super weak to it. And it just sort of, it's not strong enough to like break through some stuff. That's why it's normally tier 5 in tiered leagues. Alolan Persian I could maybe see coming, like Parting Shot support for like Lando, or Parting Shot support for maybe Mence setting up. I've used that combo before actually in the PCL, if you guys remember that league. Way back. That was like at least 7 months ago that I was playing in that league. 6 to 7 months ago. Yeah, so I don't know about Alolan Persian. I mean, it outspeeds my whole team naturally, but like an offensive variant maybe could be okay against me. I sort of have to check on that if it comes. I've prepped around it not coming. Realistically, I didn't bring my only way to stop Parting Shot in Registeel, and I was considering bringing Registeel, and we'll go over that later, but there you go. Hitmonchan is just kind of bad, really. Like, Mach Punch looks okay against my team, don't get me wrong, but it gets hard-walled by things like Mimikyu, and Mimikyu, it's setup fodder for Mimikyu, honestly. Now, granted, his team doesn't have very much setup fodder for Mimikyu, like his team is a decent Mimikyu stop, but Hitmonchan just really doesn't do anything. And it's also setup fodder for Megalodios if he wants to go that route too. So anyways, let's go over my team now. You guys have seen the movie sitting here on the screen for a while now. So we are bringing Slowking to the first match with Assault Vest Regenerator. Future Sight, Scald, Dragon Tail, and Shadow Ball. I'm running Quiet with 0 speed, so I initially had Modest, and then I adjusted the IVs to be 29 IVs, so that I would outslow a no speed Slowbro. But I decided that if he, for some reason, wants to bring Trick Room against me, I want to be Quiet 0 IV Slowking, so that I'm the slowest thing on the field, or I'm at least tying the Slowbro. Which, you know, I don't know if he would bring Trick Room, but if he's bringing like offensive Life Orb, Trick Room, Slowbro kind of thing, then that could definitely be an option. Max Special Attack with Quiet, whatever. Max Special Attack with a plus Nature, Future Sight, just 2 shots, max HP Clefable. And Future Sight does a lot to his team. It's one of my better ways of dealing with Venusaur switching in, and he has to be really cautious about that, right? So if he wants to bring in Venusaur on something like Scrafty, but I have a Future Sight up, then there's no way that he's bringing in Venusaur. Like, he has to wait an extra turn to bring in Venusaur, which lets me get damage off on something else. So I think Future Sight is going to be really crucial this match. It's just, yeah, unless if Alolan Persian comes, then it's not going to be as crucial. But I can still play around that, because he would have to bring in Alolan Persian on the hit. I also don't think that Heatran is going to switch in on this thing, because Scald is going to blow it back with max special attack. Shadow Ball is there for the Slowbro, because I don't want to deal with that. And then I've got Dragon Tail for phasing. Unfortunately, my idea about phasing is that I wanted to phase like Calm Mind and Clefable, which I can't do with Dragon Tail, obviously, because it's a fairy type, so it's immune to the dragon moves. But I have another strategy that's really janky, and I really can't deal with Calm Mind and Clefable super well this week. I've been like thinking about it a lot, and I just don't have good options to deal with it. So I'm rolling with some other tech for it. Max HP, and then I split the last 8 AVs because I want an odd value of HP. I mean, Scald. Okay, so here's my reasoning behind not having Ice Beam on this, right? I need to hit the Slowbro, because this is my switch into Slowbro in the first place. And then I can launch a Future Sight, and then I can just keep Shadow Balling the Slowbro. And the reason that I don't have Ice Beam for the Ments, even though it resists Scald, is that if I burn the Ments with Scald, it's perfectly okay anyways. It's not a super great chance for that, and I don't have the best defense stat, but with Assault Vest, I'm at least taking the special hits, so I can also switch in on Landorus Incarnate with this relatively well, I think. I didn't actually run any calcs. Excuse me, but I was calcing Spadef Scrafty, which has a slightly higher Spadef stat, and a worse HP stat, and so I think Slowking would eat the hits from Lando I better. Next up is Hawkeye. We're bringing our Zapdos with Charty Berry and Static. This thing hardwalls the Salamence if he's not Rocky MZ, and if he is Rocky MZ, then I have Charty Berry for it. I also have Charty Berry there in case this is my last-ditch effort to deal with the Lycanroc Dusk and paralyze it with Discharge or something like that. I am playing the Paralysis game against him like I normally do. I'm not bringing Toxic for any of his walls because Slowbro gets Regenerator, so Toxic doesn't really matter there. Clefable gets Magic Guard, so it's not even going to die to Toxic. Venusaur's immune and Heatran's immune, so what's the point in bringing Toxic, you know? I'd rather paralyze things like the Salamence and like the Lycanroc Dusk, and even like the Mega Venusaur. Paralyzing the Mega Venusaur would be a lot better. Paralysis on Clefable works. It's not like it's Gen 4 anymore, so there you go. That's why I'm bringing Discharge. Roost, U-Turn, Defog. I'm opting to go with U-Turn over a lot of stuff. So I was thinking of U-Turn, I was thinking of Volt Switch, and I was thinking of Hidden Power Ice. And I'm just opting to go with U-Turn to get out of the Lando, realistically, into Slowking. Like, Discharge is going to be my way to deal with Ments anyways. Like, if I Discharge and Paralyze it, then it's not as much of a threat. I mean, sure, it's still got the attack boost, right? But it's slow, which is helpful. So I need to U-Turn on the Lando, basically. And U-Turn on, like, the Lycanroc. Okay, there's no way he's switching in Lycanroc on his Zapdos, don't get me wrong. But I could U-Turn on something like Clefable as well. I just think U-Turn is going to be relatively helpful this week over Volt Switch, just because I don't want to Volt Switch on the Lando, if you get that. And HP Ice, I mean, I could, like, have the Lando come in, but he's going to expect HP Ice, you know? So there's really no point in bringing that. And then I'm running Defog as well to get rid of his rocks, because I'm running Zapdos plus Rotom. Excuse me. Physically defensive, fully physically defensive, with a little bit of special attack investment. I'm actually not running any speed, which doesn't matter anyways, because his base 100 mon is Salamence, which is going to run speed. Like, he's going to run enough speed on the Salamence to outrun, like, probably Mimikyu, I would guess. He would probably want to outrun Mimikyu. Or, like, a Mimikyu speed creeping over Rotom, maybe, is what he would aim to hit there. I'm not entirely sure there, but... yeah, so I mean, speed on Zapdos isn't going to help. I'd rather have the extra bulk. Next up is Rotom-Heat. We're bringing our other electric type, but we're bringing a Scarf variant with Volt Switch, Overheat, Hidden Power Ice, and Trick. I am bringing Hidden Power Ice on this to be able to hit the Lando, switching in on my Volt Switch potentially. Overheat is going to not do anything, realistically, but it's some extra damage. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Overheat looks horrible against him. Why am I not just running Thunderbolt? Yeah, I should just run Thunderbolt over Overheat. He doesn't have any... like, there's no fire weaknesses. It's Mega Venusaur, but it's got Thick Bat. What was I thinking? I don't know, man. I guess I thought Overheat was a nice neutral play to catch the Lando switching in two, and a neutral play to hit, like, Rotom. But I'd still rather have T-Bolt, I think, against things like Slowbro, just to be able to stay in on them and kill them. I don't know. Anyways, either way, we have Thunderbolt on there now. Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power, Ice, and Trick. My main strategy to cripple the Clefable, and basically my only strategy to beat the Clefable is by tricking it a Choice Scarf. I'm not sure if he's going to expect this or not, and I'm actually kind of hoping he doesn't bring Clefable at all, but he's definitely going to bring it, so there's no way around that. And that's why we're going to trick a Choice Scarf onto it. Max special attack, and then I'm running some speed in there. I'm running 132 speed. This is meant to outrun Alolan Persian while I have my Scarf on, and it's not really outspeeding anything necessarily without it, but I have enough speed investment on there that I should be outspeeding things like Mega Venusaur still. Not that it's going to matter, I'm just going to Volt Switch on Mega Venusaur now. And so I'm running a lot of HP investment as well. Next up is the Scrafty. You bring Drake. Intimidate Scrafty with leftovers, Drain Punch, Crunch, Dragon Dance, and Iron Head, with a lot of special bulk and no attack investment. And I'm actually running a little bit of speed on there. And the speed on the Scrafty is to outrun Lycanroc Dusk when I hit 2 Dragon Dances. And I think 2 Dragon Dances is the key, is that I basically need to get up 2 Dragon Dances, and then I outspeed a lot of his team, and I'm strong enough to be able to deal with a lot of his team. The only thing that I'm still not dealing with fantastically is like physically defensive Mega Venusaur. But yeah, I've got Crunch for a lot of stuff. Crunch plus Drain Punch just does a lot against his team, except for Clefable, which I've got the Iron Head there for. I decided, since it's probably going to be Magic Guard anyways, that Poison Jab wasn't going to be as useful against the Clefable, and that I'd rather have Iron Head for the flinch chance over the poison chance, because the poison damage is going to do nothing. So, yeah, with that speed, that's all I was doing specifically, and then I just popped the rest into special bulk so that I can set up on, like, Lando, potentially. I can set up on relatively well. I can set up on the Heatran as well, and I can potentially set up on Mega Venusaur. So Giga Drain is like a 4-hit KO against this set, I think. And so that's kind of the goal-ish. Like, I can't really Drain Punch health back against the Venusaur, and if he Leech Seeds me, then it's a problem still. But I think Scrafty has an alright matchup this game. Just to touch on why I'm Intimidate and stuff like that, this is my main Lycanroc answer as well, despite the fact that I'm Spadef. Basically, max HP plus the Intimidate means that Lycanroc Drill Run is a 5-hit KO on me with Life Orb. So there's no way Lycanroc's doing anything to my Scrafty, basically. And Drain Punch threatens it out right afterwards. So Scrafty's my main Lycanroc answer, and it's also a secondary Salamence answer if I need it to be. Hitmonchan is going to be scary with Fighting Stab, and I can't reliably do anything to that. This is also a good Rotom check. Like, he can't do a whole lot to me with Rotom, especially if he wants to click Shadow Ball, which would be weird, but he might click Shadow Ball because of, like, Slowking plus Mega Latios. So we'll sort of see how that goes. Anyways, that's going to be the Scrafty. Lots of recovery with the leftovers, and plus Intimidate, it's just going to be good. And I remember Mono seemed to struggle against Scrafty when it was on Chimpact's team in the GBA last season, and so I'm sort of playing around that as well. We're bringing Mamswine. We are bringing It's Gator himself, but it's actually Logan, because I like my boy Logan, and I named Mamswine after him a long time ago. Adamant, Life Orb, Mamoswine, Thick Fat, yeah. The Thick Fat's probably not going to matter, but just because Heatran's is going to click Flash Cannon against me anyways. But it might, who knows, right? It might be a random HP Ice flinging around for Latios. Pardon me. So, Adamant, Life Orb, Ice Shard blows back Lando Eye and Salamence. Even through Intimidate on Salamence, I believe it blows it back. I'm not entirely sure on that one. It's basically doing like 138% to Lando and something like that to the Mets. And actually, I wrote them down, so let me just quickly go up and check that. There's the Slowking Calcs. Yeah, it's doing 128% minimum to Landorus, Snowbulk Landorus, which I think he might be to make sure that he outruns Max Speed Zapdos, maybe. I don't know if he'd actually Speed Creep Max Speed Zapdos, but he might Speed Creep like Mimikyu. And then Adamant, Life Orb, Ice Shard to Salamence is doing 136 minimum. That's not to Intimidate. And these are level 100 calcs, so they're going to be a little bit more in my favor on level 50. So, yeah, it's my best Revenge Killer to his two best offensive threats against me. Or, sorry, two of his most offensive threats against me. Lycanroc, I actually think is his best offensive threat against me. Rocks, I ended up replacing Icicle Crash for Rocks because I'm never going to click Icicle Crash against him, I realized. I figured it was my best bet against like Clefable to flinch it, but Earthquake's going to do more damage anyways, and Icicle Crash really isn't hitting anything else better. Knockoff's there mainly for the Slowbro, if he wants to switch that in. Also the Rotom, because he's immune to Earthquake. And then Earthquake just hits his team really hard. It blows back the Heatran unless he's Shuka or Air Balloon, and I do think he would be one of those two items, so I kind of have to catch the Heatran on a knockoff potentially. Like maybe he's in on Lycanroc Dusk, right? And then he switches into Heatran, Air Balloon Heatran, thinking that I'm going to Earthquake. I get the knockoff off, and then I can Earthquake freely, you know? And that's the safe thing, right? Is that he can't switch in to both of his flying types on Mamoswine Earthquake because I'm just going to obliterate them with Ice Shard afterwards. So, like, there's no way you switch those in. So his only real safe switch in is an Air Balloon Mon or Rotom to an Earthquake. And Rotom's not going to take the knockoff, and an Air Balloon Mon's not going to take the knockoff. So I think Mamoswine has a really good matchup this week. It's unfortunate that Hitmonchan's Mach Punch is annoying as hell, and that Lycanroc is still a threat. Keep in mind we do eat Lycanroc hits relatively well because we take the rock moves neutrally. And Mamoswine's got a really good base HP stat, but that's not the focus of this game necessarily. We're not eating things like Flash Cannon from Heatran anyways, by the way. Like, invested Flash Cannon from Heatran is still going to blow us back. Yeah, Adamant Max Attack because I don't need to run Max Speed. I could have run Max Speed to speed time Max Speed Venusaur, but who runs Max Speed Venusaur, you know? Like, I don't think that's feasible that he would run Max Speed Venusaur, so I'm running just a bunch of speed to outrun Modest Heatran is my goal. I could have outrun Timid Heatran, but again, I don't think that he would run Max Speed Heatran against me. There's really no point for him to run Max Speed Heatran against me, unless he was speed creeping over Adamant Mamoswine. That would be the only thing that I could see on there that he could actually creep. Or he could outrun Modest Rotom-Heat as well with Timid Tran, but like, what's the point? So that's a speed investment, and that's basically all Mamoswine, and I've been going on for a while, but I'm going more into depth with these team builders, I think. Last but not least is Mega Latios, bringing Air Canada with Psychic, Earthquake, Ice Beam, and Roost, so a nice mix set, and I'm actually a minus attacking nature Earthquake. I don't think that it's going to matter. I didn't run any Calcs, and I'm hoping that it won't matter, but Earthquake's there for the Heatran if that's his switch into my Latios. Otherwise, Psychic plus Ice Beam just obliterates most of his team. The only thing barring is the Slowbro. So Ice Beam is obviously there for the Mence and the Lando, and I don't think he'd run Scarf Lando because it's a lot weaker if you run it Scarf, and I don't think that he can afford to run Scarf Mence against me because Zapdos hard wall Scarf Mence. So we'll see. That's the main reason why I have those on there. Thought about running Shadow Wall for the Slowbro, but I don't see Slowbro as much of a threat. I think having Psychic there for the Mega Venusaur is necessary. Earthquake there for the Heatran, which could switch in pretty easily, is also necessary. Excuse me. Psychic's going to blow back like the Hitmonchan. I mean, Psychic's still doing damage to things like Rotom, still doing damage to things like Clefable, things like Lycanroc. And then Roost is there for some recovery, because I know I'm probably going to need the recovery switching in on things and taking status. taking Leech Seeds from Mega Venusaur, things like that. Max Speed Timid just to speed type Lycanroc Dusk, and then Max Special Attack, and that is going to be Mega Wadio. So I did say that I would go over the things that I'm not bringing. I'm not bringing Mimikyu. And the reason for that is because Clefable can easily run Unaware and Magic Guard against me, and that's really scary. Heatran is a wall to it and forces me to run Drain Punch, which I don't know if I have the coverage options for against his team. Salamence can intimidate it, potentially, although it's not as big of a threat. Mega Venusaur pretty much hard walls it regardless, because +2 Shadow Claw is still doing nothing to that. And Lycanroc Accelerock picks it off really easily. Those are the main reasons why I didn't bring Mimikyu. It can easily set up on Slowbro and Hitmonchan, don't get me wrong. I just don't think that the setup option is going to be good enough. And then I also considered a few other sets like Choice Band, which really just wasn't cutting it, because normally with Choice Band you want to have like Wood Hammer to break a bulky water, and I don't need that to break Slowbro, you know, because I can just run Ghost Stab. But he doesn't have a normal type, so his only Ghost Resist is Alolan Persian. Registeel, I did have on the team, I'm not going to lie. I had Registeel on the team and I swapped it out for Slowking. Registeel was my main answer to Clefable at that point, and it was a rocker, and I decided I needed the phasing more, and I saw how much Future Sight was doing to his team, and I just saw that Slowking kind of had a better matchup against things like Lanturn, because I was running like Shuka Registeel, which really... Like, it was forced to run Shuka, unfortunately, or Akka for the Heatran, and I just wasn't comfortable with that. Mienshao looks pretty bad against him with Clefable and the Mega Venusaur, although I was thinking of running like a Lure Mienshao with HP Ice for the Lando and the Salamence. Tangela looks pretty awful against things named Heatran, and it's also setup fodder for Salamence if he's Z-Fly, or any variant with Fly. And Armaldo is also the same thing. It's just kind of bad against his team, dies to a lot of his fast stuff, and it's set up fodder for things like Clefable as well. And also it's just a free kill for Lycanroc, so that's why I didn't bring Armaldo. So this is the 6 that we're bringing. I think it's got a decent chance of winning. I've never obviously played Monotooi before, so that'll be fun as well, and I will catch you guys for the match.